I'm curious. I would love to, for the people of the world, to hear the story about this vision, maybe when you got handed this "what matters" question.
Yeah.
Because it's been living rent free in my head for the last week, and it's been a very helpful lens of looking through the world.
I've been paying a lot of rent to that story. And what you're talking about, like when we're building with no foundation, it's the same thing as throwing lots of punches without planting your feet.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've been boxing, when you plant and you throw, that shot lands, and that's a lot of times that's it. Right.
Yeah.
But you could throw 100 shots and not do near that amount of damage when you don't plant your feet.
Yeah.
Right. So when our feet aren't planted, we're not actually building on a foundation. We don't actually start with what matters. And that's like I said, that's been the prevailing thought from this whole experience is what matters. And it's almost like God put that question on my heart, to say what matters. And it came in the form of this. I don't think it was a dream. This is like the third night. And I remember, I don't think it was a dream because I don't think I was asleep, but I don't know what you call it other than just whatever it was, daydream, night terror. I don't know. But what happened was so the scene was basically imagine super cinematic nighttime. The sky is there's clouds everywhere and it's lightning, thunder, lightning, all the things.
Mm.
And there's just these massive stacks of bookcases, these huge, made for giants, not made for people, 60 feet tall, and these huge books, and just infinite books. And it's just these big rows, I was in a huge library, but the library didn't have a roof. It was just basically went into the skyscraper, stacks of books. Just every book that's ever been written in the history of history times 10. And then so when you look down, this guy walks up to me and he looks like Mayhem from the Progressive commercial. I think it's Progressive, right?
Yeah.
He just he's dressed in the suit, but it's all burned up and torn apart, and it's just very post-apocalyptic kind of vibes. And he walks up and he said something to the effect of, "Mr. McLean, I have some matters I need to speak with you about." And he's opening his briefcase. And I said, "What matters?" And he said, "Exactly. And until you figure that out, the pain will continue." And he hands me this manila folder. And then he folds up his briefcase and walks on. And I'm like, it's weird. Just the word play of I have some matters to speak with you about. And then I said, "What matters?" I wasn't saying what matters. I said, "What matters?" And he said, "Exactly. And until you understand that, the pain will continue." And meanwhile, the most pain, I'm like, "Well, tell me what matters." Somebody better tell me. And I look down, then at all of this is, in a very specific order. I look down at the manila folder and it says, "What matters" on the folder. And the folder, I never opened it, but it was very thin, almost maybe nothing was in there. If something was in there, there was a couple pages, a couple pieces of paper. And then the juxtaposition was, then I look up and it's back to these infinite towers of books and stacks and stacks and racks. And above, just kind of floating in the sky was this little lit sign that said things that don't matter. So the section of this library of this monstrous, just God level section of the library were filed under things that don't matter. And this guy came and handed me this manila folder that, as far as I can tell, maybe doesn't have anything in it. If it does, it's got a couple papers in it. It says "What matters." And so just the chilling, I get goosebumps talking about it, the chilling message and prevailing theme of that, of that mirage I had in the desert is not much matters. The things that dude, all the wisdom in the world, all the books, everything. I love books, I love learning. I love learning about everything. I get overwhelmed sometimes because I'm like, how am I going to learn about it? How am I going to know everything? And which is another crazy theme. I really believe that every bad experience, every sin that we have, every pain that we have comes from us wanting to be God. That's kind of a story for another day, but that's exactly what it is, right? Like there's the knowledge of good and evil. Here's the thing that matters to me. Here's the thing that I'm called to do. Here's my mission. It's in this little manila folder. And, I feel like we are called to figure out what is in that manila folder that is ours, that it's hand delivered to us. That's ours. And there's not much. There's not everything, right? We're not supposed to do everything. We're supposed to do something, though. All of us, I believe, are supposed to do something. I don't think there's a single one of us who is, just, oops, you're just here to be a non-player character, right?
Yeah.
Not a one of us. That's why we're depressed when we fulfill that role. That's why we're super down when we fill that role and we don't step into who we're supposed to be. Now, who we're supposed to be, well, what matters, right? And so my reflections and all of my journaling since then have basically been on like, well, what matters? Right. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, well, we should figure this out way earlier. We should have we should know that we should set this foundation just immediately in anything, even like I asked you about this podcast before we did it, like, hey, what are we doing here? And we wanted to give people tools to make hard decisions simpler.
Yeah.
And I think, one of those tools is decide what matters and decide what doesn't. And I'm going to consult my notes or I don't know if you can call these notes, but so here's what matters. I think it has a lot to do with like storytelling, like the stories that we believe, what story is believable to us. And that will kind of guide us, right? Like, we could tell ourselves a story about what our lives are supposed to mean. But if we don't believe it, it goes nowhere. But if we find a story that we could believe, then maybe it's a divine nod that perhaps we should believe that, right? I could believe that. Let me walk down that path. What do you stand on? What do you cling to? So like, what is the thing that you like? What is the hill that you would die on? What is the hill that you would kill on?
Yeah.
Right? And was just like, reverse engineer some of those things. What's the last thing you like stood up to somebody about? What's the last thing that what's the last conversation that you walked away from and you wish you would have handled that thing differently? Those are callings. Everything's a calling. Everything's these whispers from God saying, hey, this matters, like this is, I'm telling you, I'm driving you a direction. I don't believe this stuff is random. And we think it's random because it's just random. Dude, yeah. So what hill will you die? What hill will you kill on? Is this that? If the answer is no, discard it.
Yeah.
Right, we got to get better at just like chucking stuff. If the answer is like, nope, I don't care. We talked about politics earlier.
Yeah.
Neither one of us really feels super called to go defend one way or the other and have these conversations and plant our feet to say, I am this color. Mm-hmm. And whatever this color says is what, right? It's identity politics and it's dangerous and it's not our calling, right? So discard it. Spend less time, trying to learn and trying to figure out all of this. Like, you're called to something, and the things that you're not called to, you have to discard, get rid of completely, because the energy required for the thing that you're called is all of it.
Yeah.
So if the answer is yes, this is the hill I'll die on. Yes. Can I control it? Am I in control of this part of it? And if the answer is no, you discard it. That's a big part of, modern day stoicism, is like focusing on what you can control and can't control. And if you can't control it, then be gone, 100% of your energy on the things you can. So if the answer is yes, proceed. That's what I wrote. My handwriting's so funny because my hand doesn't work. Yeah, if the answer is yes, proceed. Socrates said, to find yourself, think for yourself. Simplify. I think that we're called to study and dissect and understand why we're on that hill when we find it. We're supposed to spend all the time like, what am I here for? And we're supposed to look around and go, I care about this so much. This was put on my heart. Of all the things that I could care about, this is the thing that was put on my heart. Why? And what can I do for it? And where am I supposed to be? And where is my very next step? Yeah.
I think to that point, it adds conviction. I think it's one thing to understand. It's one thing to know what that hill is that you're willing to die on, or which one you're willing to kill on. But I think that taking that next step to understand, why am I on this hill? Why does it matter to me? What are the things I'm willing to do on it? I think that adds the kind of conviction that you're supposed to be on that hill, and that it is in fact yours. That when it comes time to make a decision, and you're faced with a very hard one, you've got that conviction because you've done the work to know, no, this is mine. This is me. This is how I make my decisions. So yeah, I think that's another level of that knowing, right? Where it starts to chip away at that cognitive dissonance, where it's not just that you know the thing, but you know the thing and you do the thing.
Yeah. And I think that some people are like, well, what am I called to do? Like, oh, I'll be a good person, right? Well, probably. Yeah. What does that mean specifically? So going from like this shotgun approach, where like, I'm just out here being a good person, walking through whatever distracts me, whatever lane like that I just kind of end up going, creating a rifle with your intention, like going from the shotgun approach to creating a rifle. And I have some, this whole time, I'm taking notes on, I'm trying to answer, right? I'm trying to be a good steward of the directions that I've been given.
Yeah.
And so I have this eulogy test, which has always been, something that I've been called to, like on your deathbed or at your funeral, right? What do you want said about you? What feels like you want said about you? And what's cool about that is, like, by that time, it's not about you getting the credit. It's just about the story being told of what you did. And so I think first of all, like, go to your funeral. Who's there? Who are those people? Well, that drops your focus down a whole lot, right? That narrows it a ton.
Which people should you be focusing on now?
Yeah, who's at your funeral? Who actually, like, you have passed? Who is, like, impacted by that, right? Who are those people? And because those are the people that know you. We can all tell a story on the internet, or whatever, and craft our narrative, whatever. But, like, I don't know anybody who's actually, I think I saw a meme one time. It was a grave. It was like a headstone, and it said, "Here lies Jeffrey. He led a compelling narrative." It's just like, congratulations, dude.
Dan Lee would eat that up, man.
Yeah. Yes. And it's very hilarious.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, in some way, yes. But the people who know you well, they know you. And so what would they say about you? And you got to ask, like, right now, if you died right now, what would they say? What would they show up and have to say? Are you living in such a way? And I did this a long time ago. This is one of the things I've never shared and will never share with anyone, is everything that I wrote down, all the words that I want said at my funeral. Because I can't go tell people those things. I have to go live in such a way that it evokes that response. It evokes those words to show up. And so I can always check, I can always find alignment and say, am I living in such a way that people are going to say these words about me at my funeral, or am I not? And that's a big marker for success, right? Like,